Welcome to the So What from BCG, the podcast that explores the big ideas shaping business, the economy, and society. I'm Georgie Frost. In this episode, the augmented worker, hype or reality, with Tibor Mérey, BCG's global business leader in frontier tech. So Tibor, what's your so what?
Well, finally the time has come for extended reality to leave the realm of science fiction and get into the physical reality. Reason behind it is that not only has the technology matured in terms of headsets, but AI has proven to be the killer use case for that technology.
Augmented or extended reality is no longer just a futuristic concept. It's actively transforming how frontline workers operate, making work safer, more efficient, and more precise. But while adoption is growing, is it really the game changer that some are suggesting? And what will it take to scale up XR across the business landscape? Okay, Tibor, welcome. We've had VR, we've had metaverse, now it's AR, now it's XR. I mean, firstly, just explain what all these are, but then why is this different?
Well, as you say, the terms have changed, but the technology has been around for quite some time. We summarize these technologies under the umbrella term XR, short for extended reality. Essentially anything that allows you to expand what you see around you, for example, the physical world with digital information. Now, within that, there are different ends of the spectrum. On one side, virtual reality, meaning that you put yourself into a headset that closes you off the physical world and fully immerses you in digital spaces. On the other side of the spectrum is augmented reality, meaning that you can always see the physical world around you, but augmented with digital information.
Do all of these still have a space or a role to play?
Well, I think what we can definitely observe is that they are converging. Convergence is essentially what we call mixed reality, so that at any point in time, you have a mix between the physical world around you and digital information as well.
I mean, you said it there earlier, headsets, smart glasses, this sort of technology has been around for some time, but what is it about now, this moment now, where adoption is really, you think, really going to take off? Or is it really taking off at the moment?
Well, I think what has happened certainly is that technology and the devices per se have advanced. The device is becoming smaller, lighter, longer battery lives, and more performant. I think that AI, and with the advances in generative AI, and we now also going to talk about agentic AI, is what drives adoption, because extended reality unleashes AI and brings it into the physical world around you.
Just explain to me clearly what problems these technologies are looking to solve. What makes workers so much better, for example, using these? Why can't we just, what's wrong with us?
Well, I think today, frontline workers, they typically need to look up what is the work order of the day. They're using devices like a tablet or a mobile phone to pull up the different tasks they do. But the issue is that these devices, they are sometimes clunky and you don't have both hands free in a sense. So just moving that information onto a headset is already a value add in and of itself. Now, what you can add on top of that is these devices, all of them have cameras. So those cameras can detect what's around you and can immediately spot if there's an issue. They can spot what piece of equipment you're working on and can automatically already propose what's the next step you need to take. And if you need any kind of help, you can either have an AI interact with you, or, for example, you can connect with a colleague remotely that sees what you see and can assist you in your work.
You mentioned earlier about weight, about battery life, about, I suppose, the way that they look now and how that's not been the only reason for advanced adoption. However, it's part of it. And certainly we've got 3 headsets in between us at the minute. Just explain to me what these are and what I could see through them.
Many of us know the strongest in terms of technical performance, but the issue with that headset is it is exactly not an augmented reality headset. So I can put them on. And so while they are great in terms of fidelity and specs, the issue is once power cuts off, the workers are left in the dark. So you cannot use them in any kind of safety relevant environment. Another example is it's a ruggedized headset you can put on.
So it looks like a headband that just goes...
A bit of a headband. And what I have is I have a small display here, so I can always see the physical world around me. but it gives me, for example, my work order, what I need to do, and I can also interact with AI either through voice or using the buttons on top.
So you can definitely see me still, so
I
it's
can
not
definitely
obscuring your
still see
vision.
you, absolutely. And then there is other versions, and these are just 3 of many devices out there. But here is a quite sleek one, and it's essentially really just a headband. And as I'm talking to you, I actually have a display in front of me where I can now just open it up. I can pull again the tasks I need to do, and I can go about and work hands-free all day long.
Can you give me an example where you have worked on something where you've seen the benefits?
So one of the pieces of work we're running at the moment is for the Swiss Federal Railway Operator, SBB. Many know SBB as one of the most punctual railway operator on the world. Maybe it's because they're Swiss. But what many don't know is that they also struggle with finding the right talent, especially vocational worker, and also dealing with cost pressure in terms of maintaining all of those trains and getting them out there in time and budget. So what we did is we actually equipped the workers that are repairing and maintaining those trains with devices very similar to ones we see here. And we were able to demonstrate that experienced workers are 20% more efficient and inexperienced ones even 29% with that technology.
What would it be like for a worker? Can you just give me an example of a job that they would have to do and talk me through what exactly they would see, how this would help?
Absolutely. I mean, let's take the train itself. Once a train has reached the end of its lifetime, it needs to go into a depot and gets fully taken apart and refurbished. You should see that sight. The carriage gets completely dismantled, sandblasted, and then rebuilt like a Lego piece up to the very last nut and bolt. And at the very end, you need to go through that train and do a safety checklist to prove if everything is in order. Now imagine today, those checklists, they are very much still paper-based or PDF-based, but now we put that onto a headset. So you put on a headset, it connects with your account, and it gives you your full work order with all the checks you need to do. And as you walk through those checks, it automatically detects what you did, writes it back, so no need to print out anything or sign, and everybody knows what checks have been done on that train.
Is there a cultural adoption issue here? I mean, I think once people can see the real benefits, then absolutely there's not a problem. But in terms of how did the workers feel walking around wearing essentially headbands with little, discs or whatever in front of their eyes? How did that feel? How did they take to that?
I mean, you're absolutely hitting the nail on the head. And if I take a step back, when I look at what success consists of in these transformations, and it doesn't matter if it's XR or AI or digital in general, success always follows the 10-20-70 rule. Meaning, success is only 10% the data, only 20% the technology, so which software or hardware to use for the application. But 70% comes from changing people's behavior. And this is where you need to over-index. And coming back to our point, what we did is we actually over-invested on the 70%. Our team of BCG engineers, we set up shop on the factory floor. We essentially were living in the factory. We're eating with the workers. We're wearing safety shoes, safety vests, and we were always day in, day out there where the action happened, understanding what the problem is before jumping into the solution too early. And by investing into understanding the problem, this is where we could win over the workers and helped us also scale out the solution in the end.
Is this one of the, I suppose, common themes as to why XR projects don't work? Is that, I suppose, not getting people on side, not emphasizing the 70%, as you say?
Yeah. For too long, I think XR has been a hammer looking for a nail. And I think that is what is fundamentally different now, is that you need to start with the nail. You need to understand what is the real problem at hand. And you need to stay flexible which technology you use. And what we did in the end is the platform we built is a platform. Yes, you can access them through XR headsets, and that's what leads to the most benefit. But you can always also access this on, for example, a tablet or a mobile phone, giving workers the option what to take.
You spoke about the productivity gains, the 20% for experienced workers, the 29% for inexperienced workers. What will it take to bump that up?
imagine what's possible once workers have these tools in their hands, or better on their heads, for months or even years. And we haven't even scratched the surface with all those additional features AI or even agentic AI can bring to the table.
Can this be replicated in other industries, do you think?
I think in any industry where a worker doesn't sit at a desk, you can replicate those gains. If you're sitting at a desk, you're staring into a screen. So that screen can run any of the existing AI tools. Once we get to the stage where every one of us is wearing some of these devices day in, day out, then I think we're also going to use it in the workplace. But as for now, I think the biggest gains are in vocational work where the physical world is being manipulated.
How much is this technology already in use in workplaces?
So I think right now, most companies have tried it. Some of them are using it in pockets, but it hasn't yet really entered the everyday, all-day use cases. But we do believe with the combination of AI and by really focusing on the 70%, we can unlock so much gains that actually workers want to have these tools to support them in their daily lives.
Where do you think the tipping point will come?
I think the tipping point will come when it's becoming an unfair advantage. It's a bit like if today you don't use a ChatGPT, you might be at a disadvantage in your next meeting. And the same will happen also in vocational work.
What do you think are some of the ingredients that will lead to better adoption of this technology?
So I think, as I said, the hardware plays a big role. That one is advancing very fast. I think some of the other hurdles is how does it actually fit into my existing IT system? How does it fit in my existing process? How does a world change where I no longer have a piece of paper to sign, but it's immediately transcribed? That's why, again, companies need to start with the problem and the process and then think about what's the right technological solution.
What are the ways in which you can figure out what are the best tools that will get the most advantage for you?
I think in the end, companies need to find the sweet spot between not being too small and say it was only a pilot, but it didn't realize the transformational power needed in order to actually start a chain reaction. So finding the right sweet spot in between where you're taking enough of a process to showcase the benefit and keep people motivated and realize gains, that is where you should aim for.
I want to know how Gen AI is impacting on XR solutions.
Well, I think what is now really astonishing is how Gen AI is just accelerating time to value and doing so on a headset as well. For example, one of the features we're working on is that a worker can just ask questions like he or she does with ChatGPT, but it would give you reliable answers with what torque to fix that screw or with what lubricant to actually work with. Now, that is something Gen AI can do right away, but it still requires the worker to do the actual work. Agentic takes this to a whole new level. Agentic allows then the AI to also take action itself, meaning that it could, for example, bring another worker to help automatically, or it can already proactively recommend the next thing to do. And oh boy, once robots hit the shop floor, then you have the next piece where AI can actually do the work itself.
Where would the worker be placed in this new future?
So you're asking to what degree workers get actually obsolete?
Absolutely right, with all this
solution.
Amazing technology.
Yeah. I mean, the harsh reality is that we are anyways running out of workers as we speak. It's super hard for companies to find workers that are specialized in actually doing these blue-collar workers. And so it's no longer a question that we have too many of these workers and how can we actually reduce them. We need to keep up to actually just be able to still do the job. And here, actually, this technology can plug the gap that is left by not finding enough of these workers.
Which industries do you think are ripe for this sort of technology next?
I mean, in the end, I would draw a matrix because we love matrices at BCG. And the 2 dimensions I would go for is on the vertical axis, it's about the value add of the task. How much does that hour of work cost, or how much does the downtime cost of that piece of equipment not being up and running? And the other dimension I would call the physicality of the task. So how much does it require somebody with both hands doing something in the physical world? And then top right corner is where if the combination of highly value adding, because the piece of equipment is very expensive or the work itself is very expensive, and a very physical type of work. I think that's where we see trains being maintained, base stations being repaired, submarines being overhauled, all these types of tasks where this technology can do a lot of good.
I'm pretty confident I know the answer to this, but I did ask in the introduction, the augmented worker, hype or reality?
Well, it is becoming reality, and it's becoming reality fast.
Paint a picture for me, as colourful as you like. Take me into the future. What will it look like?
Well, we've talked now a lot about the augmented worker. As that person gets into the locker room and puts on the safety shoes, the hard hat, the safety vest, that work will just automatically don headsets of the likes we've just talked about and have seen. And as he or she goes through the day, it automatically detects in a hands-free automated way what's going on. What is the piece at hand? And an AI companion will just help you, like a small chimney grill on your shoulder, what should be done. And you will always have all of the human knowledge connected to the task at your fingertips.
What will this be like in society, in our homes?
Well, that was just the work part. But as these devices get smaller and smaller, you will start wearing them all day, every day. And that will become quite a new reality as we speak. Now, many are frightened by that, but look at how often you look at your phone or tap your phone. You're anyways already connected all day long, every day. So it will become a much more of a societal debate. When will we truly be offline? And when are we still connected when we go about our everyday tasks?
Is human ingenuity under threat?
I think human ingenuity is actually going to get kickstarted and amplified many times over. I think we can get rid of many of the more tedious tasks of having to look up stuff, document stuff, asking for help, and just let our imagination run free wherever we are and have AI support us in what we do.
What do you think are the biggest mindset shifts that need to happen among business leaders to really take advantage of this?
I think they need to jump over their own shadow in a sense, because every business leader has heard of this technology or even tried it out or even ran pilots on them some years ago. But very few of them were satisfied by those pilots. So it takes a certain stamina to say, I'm ready to try it again, maybe try it differently, and trust the process, because this is a bit like any kind of technology that has taken the world by storm, and AI has been around for quite some time, but we now see really a tipping point happening on AI as well.
There are, of course, risks associated with any new technology. There are big risks associated with this. What can we do as business leaders, as society, to mitigate those risks?
I think, again, we need to start taking the risks and also the concerns of the workforce seriously. Again, it won't work if the experts in our ivory towers violently agree that this is a great idea. That's not what's going to convince the everyday worker that's running an 8-hour, 10-hour shift in on an oil rig or in a factory. So understanding what moves them, what actually makes their day easier, or what is bothering them today, that's where you need to start, and making them part of the process.
And I suppose one of the big risks that knowledge workers face, being sat at their desks online all the time, is cybersecurity. And I imagine this sort of technology will be equally vulnerable, no?
Yeah, and that's why you need to build security in from the beginning. So, and again, you need to also consider that in these environments where you're working inside of a factory or you're working on critical infrastructure, you need to be absolutely sure that what you are putting on these devices is secure, it's running in your own infrastructure, and it's not allowed to actually manipulate or actually tell the worker to do something which might harm the infrastructure.
So Tibor, at the start, I got your so what. Now, of course, I'm going to ask your now what. What are the next immediate steps for leaders to take to really make the most of this sort of technology?
So I would say leaders need to maybe do 3 things. First of all, if they haven't tried it out, try it. If they have tried it out, try it again. It's really about seeing is believing and understanding what is possible now, especially with the intersection of AI features. I think second of all is really go deep and contemplate the problem before going into solution mode. So spend the time analyzing the process, analyzing the pain points of your workers, and first understanding what moves them, and then thinking about what's the solution. And the third one is strike the golden middle of how to structure a project. Find the right sweet spot where you're able to show value and keep that chain reaction of impact going.
Tibor, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you for listening. We'd love to know your thoughts. Get in contact by leaving us a message at thesowhat@bcg.com. And if you like this podcast, why not hit subscribe and leave a rating wherever you found us? It helps other people find us too.